How has the study of early humans changed over time? How do we know about ancient humans? Many traces of these ancient peoples and societies still exist. We have discovered human and animal remains, tools, art, and pottery. There are ancient buildings, oral stories, and written documents. These all provide clues about who these ancient people were and what their lives were like. The trick is how to interpret them. Archaeologists are like social scientists who study how people lived in an earlier time. They examine the remains of what those people made and used. They are like detectives. They investigate the clues left behind and piece together the story of how ancient peoples lived. The study of artifacts. Many archaeologists today work for universities or museums. They often travel to a location where ancient people lived to search for artifacts, remains, and objects. What they find provides them with information about what early life was like. These artifacts are particularly important for learning about people who did not have a written language. Archaeologists must carefully record and analyze the artifacts they find. They share this information with others. Books and museum exhibits explain what they have learned and how they learned it. A developing science. Today, archaeology is a science, but it did not start out this way. In the early 1900s, archaeologists were explorers. They were often driven by curiosity or greed. Most archaeologists were field workers at dig sites or excavations at ancient cities. Often, they focused on finding valuable items that could be sold. Early archaeologists did not always take the greatest of care with smaller, fragile artifacts that they believed to be less valuable. Many artifacts were destroyed. Little serious study was done on what survived. In an atmosphere like this, it was easy for trickery to occur. In 1912, British lawyer and amateur archaeologist Charles Dawson claimed to have discovered an early human skeleton. Piltdown Man, as he was called, turned out to be made of a modern human skull and animal bones. The situation began to prove in the middle of the 1900s. By 1960s, archaeology had become a more exact science. So let's take a pause the video. I want you to go over to the left-hand column of your notes, and I want you to draw me a picture of an archaeologist examining some artifacts. Ask for help if you need it. How do archaeologists examine a site? Tools of the craft. Archaeologists often search for years before they find a site to dig. To find a site, archaeologists considered certain factors. They look for elements that would help the creation of a civilization. They search in places close to water and with a good soil quality. Sites of large cities or societies are likely to contain more artifacts. Sometimes important sites are accidentally found by people other than archaeologists. For instance, there are the famous cave paintings in Lascaux, France. They were first discovered in 1940 by teenagers chasing their runaway dog. Once a site has been located, the archaeologists must deal with the climate. They often work in extreme hot or wet weather. The next step is to recover the artifacts. Unlike early archaeologists, modern archaeologists do not focus only on valuable items. Instead, they collect everything they find. Fossils and other artifacts help to explain who lived in certain areas when they lived there. Old tools, reveal information about the technological abilities of a people. Sculpture, art, and pottery provide clues about ancient cultures and the people's beliefs. They are especially useful when there are no written records. If written documents are available, they are among the most valuable artifacts to study ancient cultures. Careful study. Carelessness was common in early dig sites. Present-day archaeology has worldwide rules for digging. Shovels and picks are used only for a small portion of the work. Much of the work is done with much smaller instruments to avoid destroying anything. Small shovel-like tools called trowels are used to remove the dirt. The dirt is then sifted through a screen to locate small items like pieces of bones or pots. If large objects are located, they are dug up or extracted. Archaeologists use small knives that look like scalpels. They are called penknives. The artifacts are then brushed off to remove the remaining fine dirt and other material. They are then placed into plastic bags and labeled. The artifacts are recorded and reported. Sometimes they are displayed in museum exhibits. Research and teamwork. The found objects are also studied extensively. Laboratory analysis is performed to see how old the material is. Often scientists from other fields examine the artifacts too. Their knowledge contributes information that the archaeologists might not have. For example, a geologist determined that the rocks at a famous site called Stonehenge came from a location more than 200 miles away. Archaeologists also compare artifacts to other known samples from the time. They look for similarities and differences in construction or style. Human skeletons are examined for injuries and for signs of medical work, such as broken bones that may have been set. All of these clues help to create a clearer picture of what life was like long ago. Okay, once again, let's pause the video, go to your left margin, and I want you to draw in these steps. There are 5 of them. Okay, and if you need help, you can look up at the board. Ms. Nielsen has an example up on the board, or you can raise your hand and ask for assistance. But I want you to draw the 5 steps that archaeologists take when examining a site. What have archaeologists learned about early humans? Archaeologists use artifacts to learn about ancient peoples and cultures. They draw conclusions from their research about the daily lives of ancient humans. They are particularly interested in the technology and culture of ancient civilizations. Technology. You may think of technology as the latest cell phone or computer. However, technology means the practical use of knowledge. It can include the invention of tools, and it can also mean the creation of new systems to improve daily life. Looking at technology can tell us about the lifestyles of people. For example, consider the discovery of spears used by early humans. These might suggest that the civilization was centered on hunting, or that people faced threats from other people or wild animals. Later civilizations developed farming tools like plows. The discovery of these tools is a sign that people grew crops. They were settled down in one location, not constantly moving in search of food. Culture. Archaeologists also focus on studying the culture of ancient civilization. Culture refers to a people's way of life. However, it is not behavior inherited through our genes. Culture includes physical items like clothing and non-physical ones like myths and legends. To study culture, archaeologists look for objects that paint a picture of prehistoric life. These include fossils of plants and animals and seeds that were common millions of years ago. They also include ancient tools and artwork. Archaeologists also look for artifacts that reveal the beliefs and customs of a people. Oral or written traditions provide a lot of information for historians. However, we can also learn about culture from other artifacts. Sculptures or paintings of gods often illustrate religious beliefs. Burial sites provide understanding of beliefs about death. Items left in tombs reveal what those cultures considered to be important. These items also provide clues about the identity of the person in the tomb. For example, consider the ancient relatives of humans known as Neanderthals. They used to be poorly understood. Recently, though, archaeologists have found fireplaces, simple graves, and other Neanderthal items. These suggest that the Neanderthals might have had a more advanced culture than we previously thought. Okay, so let's pause the video again. And when we are ready, we will go to our left column and we're going to draw what we just learned in our notes. Raise your hand if you help, or look at the board. Hominins. What have archaeologists discovered about prehistory? In 1992, archaeologists found a molar tooth in Aramis, Ethiopia. The tooth was unlike any remain they had seen before. It was far older and far different from any other finds. By 1994, additional fossils, including a partial female skeleton, had been found. Archaeologists believed that they had found a new kind of hominin. Hominins are humans and their early ancestors. The ancient skeleton was thought to be more than 5 million years old. Archaeologists called the species Ardipithecus, and nicknamed the skeleton Ardi. 35 skeletons and 70 scientists later, a collection of sorry guys, it's a hard word to say. Ardipithecus research was published in 2009. The archaeologists concluded that Ardi was about 4 feet tall and weighed 110 pounds. She was bipedal, meaning she walked on 2 feet. She also climbed trees and could grasp with her feet. She did not walk on her knuckles like an ape, nor did she climb as easily as a chimpanzee. Discovery of Lucy. Ardi was not the first famous hominin skeleton. In 1974, Donald Johanson and his team discovered a skeleton in Ethiopia that they called Lucy. Lucy had been dated to 3.2 million years ago and was labeled Australopithecus. Since her discovery, approximately 70% of her skeleton has been pieced together. Archaeologists like Mary Leakey have since found more Australopithecus remains. They have pieced together more information about the lives of these early hominins. Species of hominins. There are many species of hominins. Modern humans are the only ones that survive today. However, all hominins are part of the hominid family, which also includes gorillas and chimpanzees. What separates hominins from their ape-like relatives? Hominins have several defining features. One is that they are bipedal, they walk on 2 feet. They also have more upright posture than animals, and they have larger brains. They use tools for specific purposes, and in some cases, they use spoken language to communicate. Hominins are divided into grades. The chart below summarizes each grade and its special characteristics. Scientists believe that early hominins are closely related to modern humans. One of the species may have even evolved into Homo sapiens, species that all modern humans but belong to. Okay, so look at our chart. Ardipithecus, dated from 7 million to 4.2 million years ago. Human and ape-like traits, grasp with their feet, hands were not like apes, food carrying, both male and females were 4 feet tall, weighed approximately 110 pounds, small face with protruding nose and mouth, small canine teeth, consumed fruit, nuts, insects, and small mammals. Australopithecus, 5.3 million to 11,700 years ago. Human and ape-like traits, small brains, skulls were flattened, small canine teeth, large cheek teeth, large upper limbs, small lower limbs, hands free to carry, traveled short distances. Homo erectus, 1.5 million to 500,000 years ago. Anatomically different from Australopithecus, hips and long femurs, hands free to carry, large upper limbs, small lower limbs, body size and hindquarters similar to modern species with a medium stature, weighed approximately 77 pounds, smaller molar and premolar teeth, human-like feet and hands, could manipulate items precisely. Homo sapiens, 195,000 years ago to present. Modern humans, more slightly built, high rounded skull, reduced facial features, increased cognitive abilities, erect posture. Okay, once again, let's pause the video, go over to our left-hand margin, and let's sketch in what we just saw. Raise your hand if you need help, or you can refer to the board. Hominin habitats. Where did hominins settle? Scientists can determine the climate, environment, and habitats of hominins a million years ago. Hominins were very adaptable. They endured for several million years during unpredictable environmental change. There were extreme weather shifts and movements of the Earth's crust. Volcanoes erupted and forest fires broke out. The unpredictable weather played a large role in where hominins chose to settle. Like all animals, hominins need to live by sources of food and water. If the environment changed, hominins had to move. Otherwise, they might die. They avoided places with few resources or with extreme cold or heat, like deserts. Location of the earliest hominins. Much evidence of the earliest hominins has been found in Africa. Africa provided wooded areas and grasslands where animals grazed. Plants, fruits, insects, and small animals were plentiful. These provided additional food sources. However, water supplies changed with the seasons. Early hominins stayed near natural water sources or moved with the seasons. Adapting to new environments. Later hominins adapted to new environments by making new devices. The use of tools helped them hunt different, larger animals. Caves protected them from the elements. Their shelters also provided a place to store food. Eventually, hominins learned to use fire. These developments enabled some to move to regions in Asia and Europe, where they would not have survived before. The ability to adapt was necessary for survival, but adaptation may have well led to changes between species. There are well-known theories that becoming bipedal was linked to adapting to the environment. Walking on 2 feet was necessary to cross the dry grasslands in Africa. For instance, walking on two feet also left hominins with free hands. They could carry food, tools, or weapons. Putting it all together. Trying to piece together everything about our ancestors can be difficult. We are still discovering new information about species that lived millions of years ago. We often had to use information from many different sources to see the big picture. Fossils, artifacts, tools, and habitats all help scientists to get a clear idea of who these humans were. As archaeologists continue to find new clues, we continue to get a better glimpse of our own past. Okay, that's the end of our video. Again, we're going to go and we're going to work on the summary. I would like you guys to work on the summary independently. You may ask for some help, but I want you to be able to answer the LEQ, which is found at the bottom of your note sheet that I provided for you. Raise your hand if you need assistance. Thank you.